I think women shouldn't really even bother to become bishops within the church. I hear a lot of people say because basically with this day and age of equality, women should be given the chance to work their way up the church and become bishops. Well, I don't think that women should become bishops in the church, because if you look back into the beginnings of Christianity and Judaism, both of the origins of those religions come from a fertility cult. And though the fertility cult was obviously about having sex, the penis was seen as the god. God itself was like the penis, and the sun, in an allegorical way, was seen as the tip of God's penis. And it was all about creating life. God, the penis, creates life. And fertility was like part of that process. And the women were more like the churches themselves, because they were the bodies that the male gods, the penises, would come into. And we all know what happens if God's willing, they say, you are blessed with children. And that's why women shouldn't really take up the part of bishops, because the bishop's role was the role of the male penis, which impregnated the woman, the church, the embodiment of like creation, one of God's creations. And the magic mushroom was used within this whole process to enhance their spiritual understanding and awareness. And because it was in the same shape as the penis, it got the name of the God plant. You know, this was the plant that actually looked like God. The penis was God, and the mushroom, if you look at mushrooms and look at your knob, you'll see they're very, very similar. And that's because they're at the centre of the beginnings of religions. So the woman's role would have not been one of a bishop or a priest or a vicar. The woman's role would be a sexual role, and she was like, her sexual prowess, her sexual being, her body, was made to create children, to like carry and bring forth children. So it was very much a nature thing. Like the whole magic mushroom, the psychedelic understanding of seeing, the whole sexuality and the understanding of creation and how we're created, all comes down to nature and a very natural thing that happens to everyone, no matter what creed, colour or sex you are. The fertility cult covered the male and female roles, and the church is, let's say, already the church has been misrepresenting the allegorical stories from the Bible that were originally taken from the Dead Sea Scrolls, that we know were taken from the Dead Sea Scrolls, because John M. Allegro deciphered the Dead Sea Scrolls, and his findings were that the stories in the Bible of Jesus and the apostles were allegorical stories about the magic mushroom and the fertility cult. So that's why I think women shouldn't really even bother to become bishops within the church, because the allegorical truths aren't anything to do with women taking up that position. It's an ancient position for a penis, for a man with a dick. That's who needs to take up that position. And it's not like a literal position unless you're going to partake of the flesh of the magic mushroom and, you know, enter the kingdom of heaven and have a sexual experience with a woman that could lead to creation of life. When I consider the women out there already taking on the roles of bishops in other countries, in Canada or wherever, and I don't know, the roles of vicars, female vicars, priests, I think like it's such a waste, because they're completely misunderstanding the origins of these religions that were fertility cults. And now how can these women take up a position that a man was meant to play in an allegorical role towards sexuality? You know, it's no wonder we in this day and age are backwards. We know less, you know, because we're not partaking of the mushroom. It's not within our diet. It's not changing our DNA. And we are learning less about ourselves and more about what actually rules us and runs us, our egos. We don't realise, we are unaware that our egos are overtaking our daily lives, and vanity, greed, and all the other emotional things that we can indulge in. We do actually indulge in these days. You know, why can't women be bishops? You know, just because men are. It's not about that, is it, love? Right? We, as women, surely we know something that men don't. And like that's how to be a woman, truly be a woman. And as for men, you know, because we do not have a penis, it is not really our position to play the male role, because men know something that women don't. And like those two things that we both don't know, we don't know about men, do we, women? And men don't know about women, do they, men? But those two things, when they come together, they learn about each other. It's a mirror image situation. And like marriage was one of the greatest rituals, magic rituals of all time. And in this day and age, it's like, oh, I've got to get my hair done, oh, I've got to get a dress, oh, you know, we've got to sort it all out for the guests come in, and it's going to cost a fortune. That's not marriage, and that lasts like 5 seconds flat. Marriage is about a ritual of love and respect and learning from each other. And like when two people come together, you get the king and queen theory, right? Which means those two people become like the king and queen, because their love for each other together is what creates a whole love for everything, i.e. they have children and those children are loved and the love is spread out and the love is shared, and that's two people in love. That's very strong, that's very powerful. If the world was in love with each other, instead of up its own arse, as it were, you know, because they're too busy worried about how they look to get their love, and then their love don't know what to give them. So, like, everyone's getting married these days like it's the thing you got to do. Well, hang on a minute. That is a marriage ceremony that you're entering into for eternity and beyond, in my case. And, you know, you got to mean that. It's not like, oh, I'm going to slip off here or slip off there, because you're not. You get totally absorbed in the whole ritual of your love life together. And then, so that's marriage. And like the church is like getting everyone married, everyone's getting married even outside the church. Like it's just a big do, a big day out, like, you know, and it's not, it's for life. And, you know, so marriage is a ritual that comes down to us from these fertility cults. And again, it's been underestimated, and people don't actually know the realities of what they're getting into, because it's kind of hidden, because they don't want two people coming together and becoming the king and queen and being really strong, do they really, in this society? That's what they want for themselves, and the rest of you proles can have a messed up life. But then again, it doesn't even play out, because even the royal family can't keep weddings and marriage together, can they, it seems. So, you know, it's a magic ritual that should not be taken lightly. Just like most things in the church. Vicars that are women, bishops that are women. Why? It underestimates the realities of where the church came from, the fertility cult origins. And where does the mushroom feature in this original fertility cult that Christianity came from and Judaism came from? How does the mushroom feature in these nature-loving, sex-loving people? Well, basically, the first magic mushrooms were probably taken when mankind discovered how to paint on cave walls, because that's probably when mankind had his first magic mushroom trip. And from those trips, the ancient people, the ones that came before, were probably partaking a lot of magic mushrooms, because once they had discovered the properties of what happens to you through magic mushrooms, they started documenting it through word of mouth with each other. And that's where it became a sort of secret code, and allegorical thought was born, and allegorical speech and allegorical stories, such as the story of Jesus Christ, the apostles, Moses, Saul, who changed his name to Paul and created the Pauline art, actually probably never existed as a real person, but was a mushroom that when you partake of it, it suppresses your ego enough for you to be able to see. And what you see, you couldn't actually pass on to the next person and say, right, well, this is how it is because I see it this way. You have to partake of the flesh of the magic mushroom for yourself, to be able to see for yourself, to have your own have your own ego suppressed enough for you to not overindulge in your emotions. And all of this was created into a religion, or many religions, because the people that were partaking of the magic mushroom, it was changing their DNA. It was enabling them to see. And it was like also probably enabling people to invent things and get creative with things. And a lot of what we have today that we have invented and stuff has come from our previous experience with the magic mushroom in our lives. And Christianity as a religion is like blown up and over the top, and you think, wow, you know, it's so over the top, how can it be true, sort of thing. But then if you had partaken of the magic mushrooms and you'd had a magic mushroom trip, you could easily see how allegorically these stories were about the magic mushroom and not actually about real people that existed, because they were just the stories of lives of real people covering the truths of the magic mushroom. Now, the mushroom was seen as the god plant, as I've already said, because it was in the same image as the penis. And again, you can see how they're allegorically speaking of sexual things in an allegorical way, in a dualistic way. Like if they said that the woman's ovaries were like a spread out bird, the image of a spread out bird, and then they say, that's the woman's ovaries, and then they have some sort of connecting story to the female ovaries and the flying bird. That's how allegorical they saw things. Everything in nature was likened to different parts of the body, and that's another allegorical way. So the mushroom was at the heart of the religion, because, for instance, two people that were getting married, they couldn't just get married and let's get on with it, because that's not the way it was done. Magic mushrooms were part of their life so that they could suppress their egos and experience each other's being, and recognise the fact that we are all one, we are all connected. All those sort of things are what you see on a mushroom trip. And many cultures all over the world, indigenous peoples, have been experiencing mushroom trips and really spiritually advancing their cultures through having the mushroom trips. Whereas like the Western cultures have really been held back because magic mushrooms are banned, they're illegal, that sort of thing, along with other allies like marijuana that can be good for you spiritually, sexually, sleep-wise, because the doctors have overtaken the church, and the church has overtaken the whole mushroom experience. So it's no longer within the church, you don't know nothing about magic mushrooms and the self and the partaking of the flesh of Christ. No, they tell you it's a piece of wafer and a drink of wine. So everything has been lost, and we now are like overtaken by our own egos, and the world revolves round our egos. Whereas if the mushroom was to become back into our society in a more welcoming way, then we could then learn spiritually to grow, learn to grow sexually, spiritually, and be more self-aware. But is there a government out there that wants their workers to be more spiritually aware? I doubt it. Because surely that's how they want to keep us ignorant to all of this. This is like, oh, a crazy joke. Pay no attention to it. Whereas your life, you could change your life if you were suicidal or going for a really hard time, or someone had just died. How do you overcome all those powerful emotions? Through a magic mushroom trip. And that's why they've got the words like Jesus saves, because Jesus is the code name for the magic mushroom, and it will save you. It's that easy. You just partake and you have your trip, whatever it is, for four hours or so. We don't know. Everyone has a personal trip. Good or bad, you have it. And after that, you come out the other side, whether you're in fear, in love, or what you are, but you come out the other side a different person to the one that went in, which is good. If you're suicidal or something like that, then you could do with the help. And let's not forget the age-old joke of bashing the bishop. Christmas is coming, can you believe it? Jesus was a mushroom, Santa grows in shit underneath the Christmas tree, red and white fungus wait, presents for the people, psychedelic celebrate. I wish you a magic Christmas, I wish you a magic Christmas, I wish you a magic Christmas. It's fucking Christmas again, over lies and pretense. If it were for real, then we'd be tripped off our heads, 'cause Jesus was a mushroom to open up our eyes. Santa was a mushroom, a psychedelic surprise. I wish you a magic Christmas, 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 I wish you a magic Christmas. Mum and Dad lost it, believing their own bullshit, growing up but not really looking into it, believing the nativity, it's just a story allegorically, planting only half a seed, the truth hidden and not quite seen, sacrament partaken through the mushroom, perceive a magic Christmas. I wish you 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 a magic Christmas. The magic of Christmas, the lights and the colours, the magic of mushrooms, they really are a must-have. The tree looks like wow, shiny colours all vibrant now. I wish you a magic Christmas. I wish you a magic Christmas. I wish you a